readers. In today's video, I'm doing my writing journey number. So recently I've been getting a few questions, and I think probably next month I'm gonna do an answering your questions video, but there's one question that I think I've gotten about 10-20 times in the past month, and that is, what is my brainstorming process to come up with just the initial basic story to actually write the entire book. So I thought I would just address that one question in today's video, and also just give you a little quick update on what's going on in my writing world so far. I think the my writing world portion of this video will be much shorter than the brainstorming portion of this video, so let me begin with what's happening in my world, and that is that the extended edition of A Water's Edge has been released. It's got its new cover, it's got its bonus scenes, and it's got the bonus story, which is the Emerald Eye, and it is now officially a part of the Last Electress series, not the Water Rushes series. And actually, just yesterday, book 2 came out in that series, which is of course Caught in the Ripples. So now Caught in the Ripples is now also officially a member of the Last Electress series. So those releases are basically the biggest thing I'd say that are happening in my writing world so far, and also of course Swept Away is going to come out soon, and then the novella, or actually the novella turned novel, Once Upon a Tide, will be out on May 14th, so I'm really looking forward to that as well. Amidst all these releases, I have been working on the official book 4, not the novella turned novel book 4, which will be hopefully releasing in August, I'm imagining, and I have of course been working on the Ashes of Legends series, which is my new adult fantasy series, which I'm so excited to get out into the world. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will see all the little processes that I'm going through in writing it, and just things along the way. I am having such a blast working on this series. So I think the last time I spoke to you, I told you that I'd sent it to a small press publisher, and we were in talks, and I was waiting to hear back from them officially. I think that's the last thing I told you, I don't know. But anyways, since speaking to them, they are interested. However, it seems that our schedules just cannot mesh together. We have tried to speak like Skype on numerous occasions, and for one reason or the other, it's just not working out. Now, as you guys all know, I am a big universe believer, so I'm like, perhaps this is a sign from the universe that I'm supposed to go a different way, because to be fair, I only sent it to this one publisher because they were who I wanted to work with. So I decided to broaden that scope, just because I'm so passionate about this series, and at the end of the day, like, something in me said, what is the end result? And that is of course to get Ashes of Legends out there in the world, into your hands, into your mind, so you can have the same imaginings but in your own way as my brain, and we can fangirl or fanboy over it. That is my ultimate dream, to just have the books in people's hands. And there was this little voice in my head that said, how about you just send it out to more places? You know, maybe get an agent for it. Let's see what happens. So that is at the stage that I'm at right now. I'm going to talk to you about the submission process in another video, because I can go on about this. But basically, that is the stage that I am at. I am at the synopsis, querying, blurbing stage, which is just mad. Now on to the question of the month, which has been my brainstorming process. So what normally happens in my process is that I have a character or a scene or both in my mind. So for instance, when working on A Water's Edge, I knew that it was going to be a fantasy because that's what I liked, and I knew that she was going to see a portal because I love fantasies with other worlds. So I was like, she's gonna see a portal to another world, and maybe she gets beat up, maybe she doesn't, blah 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 blah. So anyways, that's just the main gist of what I knew was going to happen. So I actually think the first thing to do before you pick a character or a scene is to decide what genre you are writing in, because it definitely changes the tone of the scene, of the character that you might envision, and it definitely changes the direction that the story is going to go. So if you have a horror story in mind involving a serial killer, then one scene that might seem innocent in a contemporary, or that might seem more magical in a fantasy, suddenly is dark and foreboding and terrifying. We'll get into narratives later on, but I find that initially I like to do first person, just because I feel like that way I connect with the character a bit more. So in keeping with just trying to get the juices flowing, I think of myself, or like a girl, sitting for instance at a desk working on a paper. But now let's say that this story is a fantasy. So then my brain goes immediately to, is she working on a paper for school, or is it a scroll of parchment that she is scribbling on and it's a spell for something? And suddenly, already, just from the top of my head, things have started to evolve. Is it a spell for something? Is she in a dark room with a cauldron gurgling beside her? Is she a witch? Is she this? And then I just start asking myself all these questions. As I say, then again, if it's contemporary, then is she writing this paper out, or is she sitting on her laptop? Does she get distracted by something on Google, or does she start watching a YouTube video, or does she see somebody, a celebrity that she absolutely loves, and hear that they're coming on concert, and suddenly she's looking for concert tickets and calling her best friend, and they're planning on how they're going to get to this concert because they got that exam the next day. You know, something like that. Then again, if it's sci-fi or some kind of dystopian thing, that perhaps she's actually writing from a space center, she's working on a paper, she is the daughter of the person that invented space living, and so she's on an unknown planet, and she's bored and she's lonely, and you know, she is living in a tube or something. You know, your brain can just go in all these different ways, but I think if you just give it that genre direction, it depends on where it takes your characters and where it takes your story. And then already, I'm just getting so excited, even though I will never write this contemporary story of the concert-going girl. I will never write this sci-fi story. Actually, I might, but I probably won't. But I'm already just so excited from just the ideas brimming in my head from just that little thing of a girl sitting at a desk writing a paper. And then even if that scene never makes it into your book, it starts to form an idea and just gets the juices flowing. So sometimes I think you have to brainstorm a lot of bad ideas to get to the one you want to write. So I don't actually believe in bad ideas. I think all ideas are fantastic, but perhaps you've got to slog through a lot of ideas that you're like, and then you just get stuck and you're like, no, I don't want to write that. No, I don't want to write that. But eventually, from having this initial thought in your mind and molding it and twisting it in different ways, I feel like you eventually are destined to stumble on the one that you are meant to write. Then I feel like once you have the story and you've maybe even written a few pages in that story and you find that you are stuck, I feel like it's good to be fluid in the direction that you're going with your book. I feel like it's good to know what you want to achieve, to know the end result, but to be fluid in the way that you get there, because sometimes the characters can take you off on such incredible tangents that you wouldn't have thought of going until you got to know them and were like, well, actually, they're more likely to do this. And so you go with what the character is more likely to do, and you end up stumbling across something even better than you could have originally imagined based on a two-dimensional character in your mind. So again, if you've seen my stories sometimes on Instagram, you will see me often wrestling with my characters because they're doing things I don't want them to do. And sometimes I win and they do what I want them to do, which is what I have thought out in my mind. But sometimes they win because I'm just like, hey, why didn't I think of that? But well done. So again, giving a hypothetical scene, because I don't want to take a scene from my book, of course, but giving a hypothetical scene, a guy called Simon is supposed to go pick up a package from the post office, and along the way he gets stopped by the police because they think he stole something, and he did steal that thing, and he gets arrested. That's what I think. But then, as I write Simon and I get to know Simon, and then that scene comes up that I've planned and he's going to go to the post office and he's going to get arrested on the way, instead I'm going and he sees the policeman as he's supposed to see the policeman, and that the policeman in my world comes and arrests him. But instead, Simon actually sees the policeman, and Simon is not the type of person to just be like, oh, the police are coming. Simon's the type of person to cause a diversion. He's the type of person to throw a water balloon at the policeman. He's the type of person to dive under a car or run and jump up on the roof and start racing away and jumping over buildings. He's not the type of person that's just going to stand there and get arrested. Or he's going to talk to the policeman and he's going to lie his way out of it because he's that kind of person. But basically, again, the persona of the character then continues to form the plot. So then maybe by jumping up on the roof, he falls, he breaks his leg, he gets caught by a group of rebels or something, and they take him somewhere where he wouldn't have gone had he just done my normal idea of going to the post office and getting arrested. I hope that wasn't too much description overload, example overload thing, but I just want to show how some small things can actually really help in the brainstorming. So to sum up, I would say just first of all get the genre that you're writing in, because that definitely changes the tone of everything and helps guide the story in a certain direction. And then I would say think of who your character is and what they are doing, which, as I said, helps when you know where they might be based on the genre. And then from there, once you know who your character is roughly, just a very, very vague idea of who your character is and what they're doing, you can start to ask yourself what happens next. So you don't actually necessarily even have to have the why at this point. But as you get through the story and as you get to know the character, your why becomes evident. And then just ask yourself, what is the end goal? This person is here. So for instance, the concert goers. The concert goers want to go to the concert. So perhaps my whole book is going to be about whether or not they get to this concert, and if they get to this concert, do they get caught, do they fail their exams, blah, blah, blah. The person in the space tube thing that's pretty bored and lonely, do they ever get out of the space station, and who do they meet once they get out there? And is getting out there the end of the story, or is it just the beginning of the story? Just keep going scene by scene until you realize you've got a whole book planned out or even written, and then you can start to work on it and do the second draft and the third draft and the fourth draft and the fifth draft, and you can throw in another character, you can take out a character, and you can just do whatever you want because you are the creator of this magical book world. So I hope that helped to give you guys some idea on how to do the brainstorming process, or at least how I do the brainstorming process. I think having journals as well truly helps. Just have like a brainstorm journal for all your crazy ideas, and then from there you just start to find some gems when you read back through them and your brain is already, the muscles already working to write something, and then you're like, this one, and you go with it. And that is all for today, my writing journey number. I hope you find it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you